Vida Woodworth. Hi, Vida.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good here by myself in a room.
Yes, you are. You are.
Yes,
Right there.
I am.
And we're also joined with Kate Matthews, who is our moderator, control, host person. She doesn't like the camera, but we'll give a wave to Kate over there.
Hi, Kate.
And we're going to have Tom MacDonald, the awesome Tom MacDonald, join us in probably 25 minutes or so. Tom's going to do a few tunes for us, and we'll just have a little chat with Tom about what music means to him in his life. And if you have anything you want to chat or say, please just post it in the chat bar. And Kate's going to be monitoring our chat. So I'd like to start first of all with a diversity welcome. So first, I would like to welcome all people native to this land and people from other countries. I'd like to welcome all women, men, transgender, and other identified people here today. I welcome everyone here who is a mother, father, sister, brother, auntie, uncle, cousin, son, daughter, grandmother, grandfather. Welcome. I welcome people of all races, tribes, and descents. I welcome your bodies, your minds, and your energy. I welcome survivors and those who support them. I welcome all people single, married, partnered, dating, celibate, or involved in whatever sort of relationship is right for you. I welcome gay, lesbian, bisexual, heterosexual, asexual, queer, two-spirited, and others for whom none of the current labels fit. I welcome your emotions, your joy, your bliss, your sadness, your grief, your rage, your hope, your contentment, and your disappointment. I welcome everyone's special way of understanding and knowing the world, everyone's wisdom, whether it is the education that has been learned in schools, colleges, universities, and or the deep and profound school of life. I welcome those living with chronic medical conditions and disabilities, visible and invisible. I welcome your families, genetic and otherwise, our networks of family and friends who make our lives easier, happier, and gentler to be in. I welcome mystics, seekers, and believers of all kinds. I welcome our elders who guide us and give us wisdom, here in this group or elsewhere, living and those who have passed away. Welcome. I welcome people who identify as activists, community leaders, musicians, group members, and those who don't. And finally, I'd like to welcome the ancestors who lived in this land where we are now. Welcome the spirits of Mi'kmaq, the natives who lived in this area before the Europeans came. I'd like to acknowledge them and invite their spirits to this place. To everyone, welcome. And thank you so much for being here. So today's agenda, which I need to find, here we go. Today's session, as I mentioned, Tom MacDonald will be joining us in a little bit. And last week I had mentioned that April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So Vida and I are going to do just a little conversation on Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And we'll talk just for a few minutes today about art and the therapeutic value of art. And I have a beautiful painting that somebody did quite a few years ago that I wanted to share with all of you. And then we will wrap up with our loving kindness meditation, and that'll be it for today. So I know today is the 14th, but we do have an anniversary date coming up for the tragedy that happened here in Nova Scotia last April. And we actually had quite a few different tragedies happen in that time period. And I just want to just allow all of us to take a moment of silence together, just to remember and reflect on that time. And I have a little video that I'm going to try to share here, if I'm able to. I don't always know how to work with this stuff. No, I can't. Sorry. So we'll just take a moment of silence and honor the lives of the people who were lost here in this province tragically last April. Thank you. Thank you. Vida, was there anything that you wanted to say in regards to that moment of remembrance?
Just as I'm sure many of us, if not all of us, have been reflecting and remembering for the past year. You know, this time last year, we were just starting to deal with COVID. And on the upcoming weekend, for those of us, Saturday night and then again Sunday morning, who woke up, I don't think we ever imagined what the news would be and that it would be happening here in our own province. So I would just like to remind people that whether you were immediately and directly affected by what happened, you know, please remember to take care of yourself and be gentle. And for those of us who perhaps were affected, but maybe a bit more from a distance, recognize that it can have an impact on us too. And if we need any support and help, to try and find someone to talk to, and just give yourself some patience as we're dealing with a lot of stresses we didn't even imagine we would have in a lifetime.
Thank you for that. Self-care is always an important reminder. Thank you.
Yes.
So something I want to mention quickly is here at the After Trauma Empowerment Network, we put out a call for proposals, not a call for proposals, sorry, that's in regards to funding applications.
Well, we could always do that too.
We could. We put out a call for submissions. So what we're asking artists, amateur and professional artists, to do is to create a piece of work, whether that be digital art, photography, drawing, painting, whatever medium you want to use. We're asking people to convey their message of hope and encouragement to somebody who has experienced trauma, and then to donate that piece to the After Trauma Empowerment Network, to us. And we're planning to make a kindfulness calendar for 2022 with the pieces that we receive. And then we will also have an auction to sell the pieces and raise funds for our nonprofit organization. We currently don't have any long-term funding in place at this time, but we are working on establishing some longer-term funding. And until we're able to do that, we need to do fundraisers to raise money to help us support our operational expenses here in the town. So all you artists out there, please spread the word. We have a deadline for the end of this month, so all pieces have to be in by April 30th. We have received some pieces, some beautiful, beautiful work. And we know that there are a lot of very talented artists out there. And again, just sharing your message of hope and encouragement to those who have experienced trauma. We would love to see what you have. Thank you. So we're going to move into talking about sexual assault, just for probably 15 minutes or so. This is a very sensitive topic. This is a very difficult topic for some people, especially if you have been affected by sexualized violence or trauma in your own life. And given the statistics that we know, I know that probably more people watching this have experienced sexualized violence than haven't. The statistics are alarming in our country and even in our province in regards to sexual assault. So statistics in this area are a bit difficult to kind of gauge because 9 out of 10 people will never report having experienced sexualized assault or violence. So it's really difficult and challenging to get an accurate reading on the statistics. A stat that I use is from Statistics Canada from 2014, and that statistic was 1 out of 4 girls and 1 out of 6 boys will experience sexualized assault before the age of 16. And that is alarming, and that is greatly concerning. 1 out of 4, and it may accurately be 1 out of 3 girls and 1 out of 5 boys will experience sexualized assault before age 16. That's just out of this world. This is happening whether we talk about it or not. And I would like to just throw out a gentle reminder about trigger warnings. Even this language that we're using when we say sexualized assault or sexualized violence, that can be a trigger for some people. So as Vida already mentioned about your self-care, if this is triggering this part of our show in any way for you, please don't feel like you need to watch. You can mute. Please practice your self-care. Do something very, very kind for yourself. Have a tea, have a soak in the tub, have a shower, go for a walk, just sit in peace and quiet. But it was important to note that this could be triggering for some people. Okay. I think I'll let Vida talk for a minute, and I am going to take my glasses off.
Thank you, Margaret. I guess it's a huge subject when we talk about sexual violence and sexualized violence. I started my professional life, I guess, as a teacher. And back in the 80s, when teachers didn't get permanent positions, they got terms or they got to substitute. And very early on in my teaching career, I realized that one of the biggest things I was sometimes being asked to do was to assist children and families who were dealing with sexualized violence. And I realized I was completely unprepared to do that. And so that's sort of where I changed my path and went to volunteer at an organization in Halifax that worked with sexual assault survivors. And as a volunteer, took a lot of training, and then was fortunate to work there, and then continued on working in Truro. So my background when it comes to sexualized violence is primarily working with the community, whether it's individuals, businesses, organizations, to help people learn and to find out what resources are available and so on. And I guess why I brought that up in the first place was that was 1993 when I really started to learn more about sexualized violence and other forms of trauma and to work in this area. And I thought then, wow, in 10 or 20 years' time, I can't wait to see all the changes that are going to be happening. You know, I'm sure that there are going to be less people who are being affected by sexualized violence and other forms of trauma and violence. And I'm sure that we won't be dealing with all these stereotypes and myths and misconceptions and victim blaming and so on. And I was so hopeful for that time to come. And here we are almost 30 years later, and it's not the picture I had. It's not all bad. It's not all doom and gloom, but it sure has changed. And I think, with the internet and, just the world situation and people learning to deal with differences within their communities and in their lives, things are different than they were when I first started. But I guess I still think that people do not realize how prevalent these kinds of things are in our communities, and not just at our neighbors and people down the road. These are things that sadly many families, if not all families, will have to deal with. And some of the old myths that used to be there, you only have to worry about strangers, was one of the worst things we could be saying, especially to children. And because sadly, the people who are more likely to hurt them are the people that are either in their family or close to their families. Most people don't let strangers have access to their children. So a person who maybe is a predator or is going to use someone who's vulnerable will look for someone who's vulnerable. They won't pick out the person who's able to stand up for themselves or speak up or has information that is going to tell them that something's wrong. So there's still so much work to do, and I guess I'm just excited that we have a resource here in our community that we're going to use part of that to help the community become more aware, and to also help people who need to get support to have a place to come that's close to them. And so I'm still very hopeful. It's just that we're not where I thought we would be. And I hope that for the future that will change. So
Yeah.
I don't know, Margaret, if that has anything to do with what you wanted me to say, but
No, Vida, that was all
yeah.
very relevant and very important. Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did Vida go?
I disappeared on you.
There you go.
I'm back. Don't know what
Okay.
happened.
Thank you, Vida. Okay. I just want to talk for a second about some common responses or reactions with sexualized assault. There's fear, anxiety, and nervousness, shock, disbelief, helplessness, depression, overwhelmed, unable to make choices or decisions, anger, shame, embarrassment, and feeling dirty. These are very, very common. Shame,
Yeah.
self-blame and guilt, flashbacks or reliving the assault, which is what a flashback is. A flashback is where the brain gets triggered and gets taken back in a way almost as if a person is reliving that experience now. And there is coping strategies to help a person navigate through having a flashback, and they can be absolutely terrifying for someone who's experiencing a flashback. A person may feel isolated, they may feel alone, and they may want to isolate themselves. If we're talking about an adolescent or an adult who has experienced sexualized assault, their sexual behavior may decrease. They may want less sexual contact, or it may increase and they may want more sexual contact. There's kind of myths out there about that. Just because somebody has experienced sexualized assault does not mean that they won't want to have sex. That is a myth. A person may have difficulty concentrating. A person may have suicidal thoughts or urges. The self-blame piece is really, really, really important. I just want to take a second to talk about that, because that in the clients that I've worked with over the last 12 years, self-blame has been Probably 95% of the people I've worked with, they have blamed themselves for experiencing sexual assault. It is never, never, never a person's fault if they experience sexualized assault. Never, in any way. Just because a person didn't fight back, or they didn't try to run, or they didn't tell the person to screw up and leave them alone, that they didn't say no, or they didn't holler for help. All of those are not reasons why it is your fault that it happened to you. Somebody touched you without your consent, and it's the responsibility lies directly on them. They did not have your consent. That is the offender. It's not your fault. It is never your fault. And even if somebody watches this, me saying it's not your fault is not enough to convince a person that it's not their fault. It takes a lot of work in therapy and a lot of self-talk and challenging negative myths and beliefs about themselves to accept that it wasn't actually their fault. Sexual assault can happen to anyone, a 6-month-old or a 90-year-old. It can happen across the lifespan. It can happen regardless of your race, your descent, age, socioeconomic status, religion, sexuality, your gender. It can happen to anyone, and it does happen. I don't know if we have time today to talk about consent. Consent is a extremely important topic. It's not something that is focused on in our education system as much as I would like it to be. I think that consent conversations need to start as early as preschool at an age appropriate level. Consent is not simply asking someone and them answering. Consent, yeah, see, if I start getting into it, I'll go way over our time, and then we won't have time for Tom to play a couple of songs, and I really want to hear Tom. So I think what we'll do is we'll wait until next Wednesday, and we'll continue the part about consent, because it's such an important topic, and I don't want to just breeze over it as if it's a light topic. So we'll just press pause on that for now, Vida, and we'll talk about consent next week.
Yeah.
And we also have this amazing young woman joining us next week who submitted a song, just I think it was this week or last week, called 14. It's an original song that she wrote, and it's about a sexual assault that she experienced when she was 14. And she has she's agreed to come on and talk to us about writing that song and what that meant to her next week. So that will tie in greatly with our topic of consent. Is there anything else that you want to add right now, Vida?
No, other than, I guess, when I go back to when I was first beginning and some of the things I learned that made such a difference for me. And if you can take away 2 things, if someone ever comes to you and shares, that something such as sexualized violence or sexual assault has happened, 2 things you can do that are going to help them in their recovery are, number 1, believe them.
Mm-hmm.
People don't usually make up these kinds of stories, and when people tell, they often minimize what happened rather than exaggerate. And listen is the other piece. Listen to what they need to tell you. Listen to see if they have things that you might be able to do, such as find out a phone number or contact somebody. But if you can just remember, believe and listen, then you're going to be a person who will be able to be supportive for them. And remember, they still have the right to make their own choices. So saying things like, oh, you got to go to the police now, or, you know, you have to go home and tell your parents. All those things may be something that would happen for that person in the future, but remember, they have the right to decide when those things happen. The only time it would be different would be when we're talking about people under the age of 16. And then sometimes we as adults in their lives have to, you know, talk to people other than the person who's come to you. But, you know, sometimes just, you don't need a magic wand. You don't need 50 degrees. Just sit, be able to believe them and listen. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I usually say, talk less and listen more.
yes.
Yeah. It's not the time to get up on your preacher box and be taking someone's power away who's already had their power taken.
Yes.
It's empowering. And as Vida mentioned, it's their decision who they tell and what they tell to who.
Yeah. Do I have time to just share a short story?
Yes.
When I started doing this work back in the early 90s, I remember it wasn't very long after I started, I had a woman who called the crisis line that we operated at the time. And she was in her 70s. And she wanted to talk on the phone about some things that had happened to her when she was a child growing up. And one of the things that she shared with me at the time was that, you know, she came from a family where there was abuse, physical, emotional, and sexual. And when she was in grade 2, there was a teacher who had noticed that there was something not quite right with her and had asked to speak to her. And the woman told me, she said, even though I was only in grade 2, she said, I remember the teacher took me aside and was very comforting and, you know, basically made her feel comfortable to share what was happening. And the teacher looked at her and said, I believe you. You didn't do anything wrong. It's not your fault. And I'm going to have to talk to some people. And hopefully it might help to make a difference. And to shorten it up, the woman said, you know, I know she did talk to somebody and, you know, people came to her house, but nothing really changed. And she said it wasn't until I was 14. She said, I decided I'd had enough and I left home. And she said, I was able to, you know, find my way, and I've been married, I have children, and, you know, here I am in my 70s. She said, you're the first person I've ever really told this story to. She said, but I wanted somebody to know that it happened. And she said, the other thing I wanted you to know is that, she said, even though nothing changed, when the teacher asked me what was happening and I told her the little bit that I did, she said, it meant the world to me to know that there was one person in the world who believed me and didn't blame me. And she said it was that kept me going until I was 14, until I was able to leave and then to go on. So she said, please tell people to never underestimate the value of just being there and listening and being supportive. And I think, you know, her story and many others has always sort of guided me when I'm working and thinking, I don't know if I can do enough to change things or help. And just remember, sometimes just giving that time to listen and to not blame people is probably more than they may have ever gotten from anyone else.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Vida.
You're welcome.
That's a touching story. Yeah. Okay. What time are we at here? 6:30. Okay. So I did have a picture up that I wanted to show, and this was now, how do I screen share that? Let me see. So are you able to see that?
Yep.
So this painting was done by a sexual abuse survivor. And this was after years of therapy. And this piece, when she brought this in and showed it to me, we had a conversation about it, and she didn't really have an idea of what she was going to paint when she sat down. She just wanted to try to express some of what she was feeling through art. And this piece, she said, it's like going from the dark into the light. And that is what her healing meant to her, was coming from the dark and going into the light. And I've had a couple of clients do similar pieces with their own interpretation of what that means to them, coming out of the dark and into the light. And I just wanted to share this one with the viewers. It's a beautiful piece. It's yeah, I have a few different pieces, but I just wanted to share this one. And I just wanted to highlight some of the therapeutic benefits of art and of music. So art and music, they have an impact on our mind and our body and our spirit for some people who address this root. Music and art reduces stress. It's an outlet for emotions. You can channel your emotions into your art or your music. It increases the body's production of immunoglobulin. I may not pronounce that correctly. It can soothe us and comfort us. It reduces levels of the stress hormone cortisol in our body. It's good for your heart. It makes the blood flow more easily when you're listening or playing music or doing art, and even looking at some art can elicit that response. It elevates our mood. It increases the production of dopamine in our brain, relieves symptoms of depression. It can ease and manage our pain, helps to regulate our emotions. It can improve memory, helps with expressing feelings like fear, loneliness, and anger. Playing a great Rage Against the Machine song when you're feeling it is great therapy. Music and art can connect us, especially music. Before COVID, we my husband and I, we would have jams, and we would have like anywhere from 50 to 80 people in our backyard, and we would all be singing and playing together, and it was such great therapy. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that, and a lot of people are missing that social connection that we can get sometimes from music bringing us all together. And we'll get back to that someday when the air is cleaner.
I think that's sort of why is it the Ultimate Nova Scotia Kitchen Party
Yeah, I
played
think so.
such a big role in our way in dealing with COVID, but also in particular the mass shooting and some of the other the tragedies of losing our military members and
Yeah,
the young boy. And I mean, it just seemed like every week there was another thing.
there was.
And people not just from Nova Scotia but from all around the world have joined in and contributed. And I'm pretty sure that this kind of thing will continue well into the future, because we've been able to reconnect with what music does and what it can do for us in good times and in sad times. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's a powerful tool. So it can relax our mind. It's entertaining, improves sleep, decreases fatigue, provides emotional and physiological regulation in our body. It can be stabilizing and very grounding. And it can reduce negative PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms. And simply put, music can heal people. And on that note,
Yes.
we're going to connect with Tom, and Tom's going to play us a tune, and then we'll just have a little conversation back and forth with Tom, and then he'll do a couple more songs for us. So first there he is. Hey, Tom. Oh, we need to unmute you.
Yeah, I just had to unmute myself.
There you go. Yay. Welcome, Tom. Welcome. How are you doing?
Great, doing fantastic.
Yes, I love your background. Are those guitars you play, or are they more
Yeah,
decoration?
no, they're all playable. I mean, I had to take the strings off the 12 string because it's been hanging all winter, and the furnace
Yeah.
makes the air so dry that it's a little hard on instruments.
Ah,
So I generally take the strings off for the winter months, unless they're in cases.
okay. We thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day
Oh,
and
my absolute pleasure.
sharing some of your talent with us, because you're such an amazing musician, Tom.
Thank you very much. It's truly a pleasure. You guys are touching on some amazing stuff, beautiful sharing of information, and just the openness and a very comfortable platform.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well done.
Oh, you should see the list of topics, Tom, we've got. And we don't know if a year is enough to get them all covered or not. We'll have to, who knows, maybe 10 years from now, we'll still be carrying on the conversation.
That's all good. There's always something to talk about, right?
There's absolutely, yes. So I guess we'll just let you play a tune, and then we'll come back and just have a few words and go from there. Does that work for you?
That works fine for me. I think maybe
Wonderful.
I'll start off with some of my favorite writers probably in Canada would be Greg Keeler and Blue Rodeo, team from Blue Rodeo. So we'll try this one. It's called 5 Days in May. They met in a hurricane, standing in the shelter out of the rain. He took the note to her hand. Later on, they took his car, drove on out where the beaches are. He wrote her name in the sand. Never even let go of her head. Somehow it stayed that way for those 5 days in May. Made all the stars around them shine. Funny how you can live in vain, feeling with such sweet pain. Love alone left you blind. You see the face you've seen 1,000 times. Sometimes the world begins to set you up on your feet again, and all it wipes the tears from your eyes. How will you ever know the way that circumstances go? Oh, it's gonna hit you by surprise. You were there, you were with me, through everything I've done. You are the one. Looking back, it's hard to tell how they stood while others fell. Spent your whole life working it out. All I know is one sunny day, they both just ran away. Rain on the windshield headed south. Those who love the lines around his mouth. Sometimes the world begins to set you up on your feet again, and no one wipes the tears from your eyes. How will you ever know the way that circumstances go? Oh, it's gonna hit you by surprise. You know my past, you were there through everything I've done. You are the one.
Wow, that was
Woohoo!
wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have no way of knowing how the sound is. I know you guys sound fantastic and clear. So,
Yes.
Yep.
Now we've lost you again, Tom.
oh, that's my
There you
carrier
go.
settings. My carrier settings are reminding me to update. What an absolutely perfectly timed to remind me.
Yes. So, Tom, is it okay if I ask you a couple of questions?
Absolutely. I didn't
Okay.
study, but hoping I passed.
Okay. I'll let you know at the end. How old were you when you first started to learn how to play?
Honestly, it was probably around 5 or 6 because like dad and my brothers, older brothers and them had always played. And every weekend the living room was just a mess of wires and chords and amps and guitars, and there was always like a mandolin and a banjo. So there's full access to anything from a very early age. And like I remember going to bed listening to mom and dad playing music and stuff, thinking, well, I just got to get in on that as quickly as possible. And plus, there was a ticket to stay up later too, right? If you could play,
Yes.
right? That would probably buy you a few extra hours of Friday night or Saturday, right?
Yeah. Do you remember the first song you learned?
The very first song I ever learned on the guitar was just a piece of music. And I don't even know what it was called, but Mike used to call it Boogie Woogie, and it was like just a simple, but it was enough to get you interested. That it's like,
Oh
okay,
yeah. That'll
Yeah.
make you move.
yeah, if you can get a groove to this, then you're probably going to feel some energy and probably want to try and,
Yeah.
maneuver it into something, right?
Yeah.
And
So
then,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, and there was always like a huge spectrum of music too. There was like a lot of older country, obviously, but then there was like blues, and then there was bluegrass, and then there was just like just instrumental bluegrass and stuff, just for the fun of just whatever, throw it in the mix that made it interesting or whatever would be challenging, and we'd bounce it around as a family and see how we
Yeah.
could mess it up a little bit.
That's the fun stuff. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. So you come from a family of musicians.
Yeah, my dad played, and now my mom played like very structured. Mom knew how to read music, and mom did not have an ear for music at all. And dad couldn't read a note of music, so dad played completely by ear. So you can imagine that made for some interesting conversations. I remember different times going to bed, and daddy'd be like, "Vern, just don't think about it. Just don't think about it." If I don't see it, she said, I can't play it. There's no music if I don't see it. Dad's like, you got to hear it. She's like, by the time I hear it, if I don't see it, it'll be wrong. That conversation. So they used to, walk off of each other. Mom would try and show dad, okay, here's the structure to this, and dad'd be more like, okay, and here's the flow of this kind of thing. Yeah.
I think that's a perfect example of how we all have different learning styles.
Absolutely.
And just because something works for Tom doesn't mean it'll work for Margaret or Vida. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's musically, but that's also across the board.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one thing I do think in this new age of the new world we're in is one thing we've definitely improved on some level is the recognition of that everyone does learn different, and people do think differently, and some people they need more one-on-one, and some people want a group. It just depends. But we don't have to streamline, and we don't have to try and pigeonhole everybody that this is where you fit, and this is how music's go, this is how movies go, and this is how art goes. It's no,
exactly.
If you have to think about it, you're doing it wrong.
Aha, I hear you. That's good
Can
advice.
Could I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I was just wondering if at any point since you were very young and started to play, if you ever had a time when you realized that playing guitar or singing was more than just something you did, that it actually fulfilled either a need within you, or it played a role in helping you, manage stress, or if that was something that just always was. And
no, I think honestly, I think a pivotal moment for me was there used to be the jamborees, the country western jamborees in Nine Mile River.
yes.
And and you could phone. It used to be Jimmy Hamilton used to host them, and I remember I phoned Jim, and I was 13 years old. We had never played live, like outside the house ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we booked in. It was on a Sunday evening, and he gave us like a 3 or 4 song spot that we could work with. And I'm generally not a nervous person, but I couldn't have been more nervous that night. The only thing that made me comfortable is the girl going up in front of us was even more nervous. She was, so we were talking her down, like, just, you're going to do fine. Just breathe. The biggest thing, remember to breathe. Just take your time. And of course, she went out and she was fantastic. And so then we went out, and I just remembered in that moment, and of course, the crowd used to be a lot of elderly people at that time, but we had such a huge response. So many people come up saying how much they enjoyed our songs, they enjoyed the music. And I was thinking, like, you think of what this means to a lot of people in this area. And that was the jamborees were huge. Like, people were coming from over for those. And I remember thinking, like, okay, if you can get that much energy and that much positive vibe off of 4 songs, after having never done anything like that before, I thought, okay, we got to do that again. But because that energy was just too big. And then, we've played professionally now. Well, I'm 45, and we've been playing off and on, since I was pretty well 13. And it was, me and my brothers had played for a lot of years, and then we put together the band Pangea, and then we still play together. But I mean, it's been rough with COVID because of so many restrictions. We've only played a few shows in the last year and a half, really.
Do
you miss it? Pardon?
Do you miss it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, I do. I mean, we've had a couple of small little jams here, but it's just hard because like I say, you look for that energy from the outside performance as well. As like, even like with the jams that we've had at Margaret's, it's been like, they're incredible. Like, it's therapeutic, but it's also, it's life changing. It makes you come away a different person, and you just need to get back to that wonderful space and place.
Oh, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, my pleasure. I love it.
Okay, do you want to do another tune for us, Tom?
Sure.
Please.
Maybe do a Steve Miller or something. Little Joker. Some people call me the space cowboy. Some call me the gangster lover. Some people call me Maurice. I speak in the politics of love. People talking about me, baby. Say I'm doing you wrong, Don't you worry, no, don't you worry, mama. 'Cause I'm right here, right here, right here, right here. I'm a picker, I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner. Play my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight cooker. Sure don't wanna hurt no one. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. You're the cutest thing that I ever did see. You know my feelings is not a stick your feet. Loving, all the time. Ooh, baby, I sure saw you good time. I'm a picker, I'm a winner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner. Play my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a sugar. I'm a midnight booger. Sure don't wanna hurt no one. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yay.
Which one?
Yes. I have, I just have to look at the time. I have a couple of questions that might seem kind of random. They are kind of random.
That's okay. Life's kind of random, I guess.
What's your favorite kind of potato chips?
Favorite kind of potato chip? Sour cream and bacon.
Those are tasty, aren't they? Yeah.
With chocolate milk, preferably.
Ah, that's gourmet.
Right?
And the other question is, if you could have dinner or supper with anybody living or past, who would that person be? This is a Vida question.
Yeah.
It's a very good question. I love just one person, is it?
Yeah, we're just going to limit it to one person, Tom.
Okay, I would say mom. I would say I'd love to have a dinner with my mom. I lost my mom be 23 years ago this year. And yeah, I think that would be a good
Yeah.
that'd be a good table
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah. That would
But it
be.
would be.
Yeah, and I'd get her to make her mashed potatoes too. Because they were
She'd have
incredible.
to come and do some work.
Yeah, well, since you're coming anyway, if we're going to chat, if we can get it that far, surely you can make a pot of potatoes.
Surely.
That shouldn't be too bad. I don't think that's too tough an order. I'll cook the meat.
Sounds good, Tom.
It does. Mom's
Yeah.
mashed potatoes. I've tried to recreate them a bit as best I could, but they were incredible. She used to put Miracle Whip and different things in there and sour cream.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like,
Wow.
I mean, my kids love mine. Don't get me wrong. My kids really enjoy mine, but I'm going off of where I grew up, and I know mom's were absolutely the best. But
Yeah. That's like my grandmother's blueberry pie. I've tried to replicate it, and I'll never have a piece of blueberry pie like my grandmother's.
no, it's just some things go with people, and it doesn't matter. They took that special,
Yeah,
zing with them, you know.
I hear you. Yes.
Mm.
And I guess we do have a few more minutes, Tom, if you want to do one more.
One more,
You
sure.
have like a Nova Scotia kind of jig or something like that.
Yeah, we could do maybe we'll do Farewell to Nova Scotia.
Okay.
The anthem.
The sun was setting in the west. The birds were singing on every tree. All nature seemed in line for the rest, but still there was no rest for me. Farewell to Nova Scotia, you see mountains, nature, mountains, and realize. For when I'm far away on that radio spot, will you ever leave a sigh as you wish for me? My green leaf, my native land, my green leaf, my comrades old, and my parents' host that I love so dear, and the bonny, bonny lass that I do adore. Farewell to Nova Scotia, you see mountains and just mountains, and there I be. For when I'm far away on the plain, will you ever leave a sign to wish for me? I have 3 brothers, they are at rest. Their arms are folded on their chest. For to be a simple sailor is just like me, must be tossed and driven on the deep blue sea. Farewell to Nova Scotia, see my let your mountains learn and where I lead. For when I'm far away on the briny ocean top, will you ever leave a sigh and a wish for me? I can beautiful to say I've met their hands are full in home places. For to be a simple sailor just like me must be tossed in no deep blue sea. Farewell to Nova Scotia, you see bound let your mountains rise and where I lead. For when I'm far away on the trail, will you ever leave a sign to wish for me? Now chords do rage and the bombs do alarm. The captain cries, I must obey. So farewell, farewell, Nova Scotia town, where it's early in the morning, but I'm far, far away. Farewell, Nova Scotia, the sea bound road, let your mountains stand, and where I lead. For when I'm far away from the spray ocean front, will you ever leave a sign to wish for me? Will you ever leave a sign to wish for me?
Thank
Beautiful, Tom.
you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And I thank you, Clyda thanks you for coming and sharing. And
Thank
we
you
really
both.
hope that you'll come back again, Tom.
Absolutely.
Can we
Thank
have you
for
back
very,
on sometime?
absolutely. Would love to.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you both so very much for the invite. Truly a
You're
pleasure
welcome.
to be part of something so wonderful.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Check in anytime. We'll make it work.
I will. I will.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
all I'm going to do now is just do a little bit of my loving kindness meditation, and that will conclude us for today. So
Okay.
for this, all you have to do is just close your eyes if you feel comfortable and safe closing your eyes. If you're not comfortable or safe closing your eyes, then just find something to stare at, preferably not me. And all you have to do is listen. That's your only responsibility right now, just to listen. So just place all of your stress and worries up on the shelf. You can pick them back up in 2 minutes when you're done listening, done doing this meditation. Just allow your breathing just to be natural. You don't need to count or slow it down. It will slow down naturally on its own. Just hear the sounds in your space that you're in right now. Sounds in the room. As your breathing will naturally slow down, begin to feel any tension you might be holding in your body. Begin to feel that start to drain away from you. Feel any tension drain away from your eyes, from your face, through your neck, down through your body, and out through your toes. Now begin to imagine your body filling up with love. Imagine a loving white light entering your feet, traveling up to your body, to your arms, to your hands. Feel it almost bursting through the crown of your head. When you feel embraced in that love, silently repeat the following words to yourself. May I be free from all harm. May I be safe and protected. May I be free from all suffering. May I be happy. May I be free from all disease and physical pain. May I be healthy and strong. And may I be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. Now think of someone that you love dearly, a partner, a child, a friend, a parent. See this person in your mind's eye. Send loving thoughts to him or her or they, and silently repeat the following statements. May you be free from all harm. May you be safe and protected. May you be free from all suffering. May you be happy. May you be free from all disease and physical pain. May you be healthy and strong. And may you be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. Now turn your thoughts to this vast world, this vast earth with all its living creatures. Continue to feel that love in your body as you silently say, may all beings be free from all harm. May they be safe and protected. May all beings be free from all suffering. May they be happy. May all beings be free from all disease and physical pain. May they be healthy and strong. And may all beings be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. Send your love as far out around the world as possible, and just imagine that energy traveling through the air. Continue to feel that love centered around your heart. Carry this feeling with you through the rest of your day, reconnecting with it when you need to. It'll be with you. Notice the weight of your feet on the floor, feeling yourself in this present moment. And when you are ready, you may slowly open your eyes. There. Ah, nice. Now it's up to you whether you want to pick all your stress and worries back up off your shelf or just let them sit up there for a little while.
Mhm.
So I guess that concludes week number 2. A big thank you to Tom again for being here. And a big thank you to all of you who tuned in and hung out with us for an hour. We really appreciate that. And we hope that you'll come back next Wednesday and participate again. So I wish you all loving kindness. Remember your self-care today and every day. You're worth it. Please take care of yourself and each other. And we'll see you next week.
Good
Thanks so
night.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a
Thanks,
great night.
Tom.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.